It's pretty smooth, actually. I will definitely need to go play with this.
I don't think it's open to the public yet. I think these are like previews, but bananas. Okay, enough of that. Let's talk about how we can use ChatGPT to help you with resumes.
Which one do you want to start with?
How about we just start with, let's just load the context up. This is a pretty straightforward one. Given a resume and a job description, create a cover letter tailored to the job. We'll start here. I do have some custom instructions loaded up, which really helps a lot. Mm-hmm. So we're going to say, given following prompt,
think about how would. I think there's a grammar something like an omitted word.
Yeah, it does. Probably, but it doesn't. But it doesn't care. So the custom instructions I have loaded up here are fantastic because what they do is they'll go through and they actually reword your request. Then they create a set of experts, and this effectively warms up the model. And it's creating a plan. The custom instructions I have on board are what's making all of this play.
Okay.
Okay, we're happy with that. That's not bad. So then we're going to say, write me a ChatGPT. It didn't fully do what I wanted, but that's not the end of the world. So write me a ChatGPT prompt that will do the above task. Okay, so that's pretty good prompt. We'll give it a whirl. So I call this kind of like meta prompting, where you get it to write the prompt for you. So got another, as you can see, I'm flipping between windows. We're going to toss this in. I have those custom instructions loaded, which will confuse it. So I'm just going to, for the sake of this, just grab my resume. I'm just going to copy it all. Ooh, I get to apply for the role of Chief Technology Officer.
I saw that. The robots think you're pretty great.
I think I'm pretty great, but I don't know that I want to be a CTO. That looks like a really hard job. This is a cover letter. So it's pulling elements from my resume. Ooh, thinks I should work at a fintech startup. Okay, let's look here. So I pulled up a local, just on Indeed. I pulled up engineering director role. Let's pull this. I like the name of this company. I just was looking at this earlier today. Qualia.
I hope that their mascot's a koala bear.
It looks pretty cool.
The Qualia koala.
Resware in Superior, Colorado. Not bad. Okay. It wrote a sample cover letter. Here is I sometimes think out loud as I do this. express my enthusiasm.
I like how it pulled in the product name from the job description.
So that's not too bad.
It's like a first draft that's really solid.
Now, I think it's too long.
Mm-hmm.
So let's make this more compact and more zesty, but not overly. It'll get, if you say zesty, it's going to, if you don't dial it back.
It's going to have 3 exclamation points on every sentence. The word that I've been using in my prompts when I've been working on stuff is make this more succinct. That also seems to work well. Succinct is a good word.
Succinct's a good word. You can say like distill is like the precision, like it knows what these words mean and frankly in a depth that most humans don't. And so it really matters what you say. Okay, so this is better. I don't know, this is zesty.
No, definitely not zesty.
Let's see, more zesty and more... How should it be if I want to make it just gonzo? Whoa, gonzo. See what it does. Keeping it professional enough for the context. Got to appreciate that. Oh, Crucible. Beacon of innovation.
Everest of engineering feats. I'm here, packed, strapped, ready to scale it with you. It's not bad.
It would get a hiring manager's attention. They'd be like, awesome.
Lots of question marks.
Your mission's
I conjured a data ops team from the digital ether, then doubled its might.
That's true. It's actually more than a doubling, but my brainchild. Birthed from the need to exceed the ordinary to redefine excellence. I mean...
I like taking this, I like turning it to 11, because it gets you thinking about how you might actually do that. Right? I think for me, even me, and I'm I definitely have my own voice when I write, but like you get me when I'm writing a resume or a cover letter, and it's hard to break out of that like professional, like nothingness tone.
Like jargon speak, right? Where you're like, what would appeal to the person reading this? And you're like, I don't know that person at all. But in cover letters, and I think in resumes, you have to stand out. Okay, so we've got a couple of different versions of cover letters. So that's not bad, right? You got some stuff to work with. Again, it's a couple of first drafts you could pull material from, right? So you cut and paste over into a doc, and then away you go. The other thing you can do is once you have a library of cover letters, you can actually load those up into, say, a custom GPT. So, like, we could go over here and build a custom GPT with a bunch of pre-existing cover letters that you're like, I'm happy with the tone of that, and I'm happy with how those play out. And then you could just drop a job description in and say, write me a cover letter for this job description using what... No, I can't. We haven't built it yet, but we could. I bet that would work quite well. Okay, let's recap. Actually, Morgan, any questions on any of this? So, like, this...
Let's go back and let's go walk through the prompt generation prompt. Let's look at that again, because that's not something I've done very much of. You said you had some custom instructions.
Oh, buddy. Okay, custom instructions. So these custom instructions come... Gotta love how it just, even I can madly, wickedly misspell all that and it gets it right. Okay, so this gentleman, Dustin Miller, great Substack, by the way. Really like his writing. He's got these custom instructions, which you can grab from here. I'll send you a link to this after we chat. But he walks through what these are. And so we bounce back over here. Where was that? Oh, they dropped. Custom instructions. So he's got files there on GitHub that have these custom instructions. And so this, basically what he's done is he's created custom instructions that will essentially get GPT or ChatGPT to take a lot of what we already know about good prompting, good prompt engineering, what's good for zero-shot prompts, chain of thought, and a few other techniques. And it will ask Chat, these custom instructions ask Chat to essentially force it to prompt itself. And it's super powerful, can get a little messy and a little bit in the way, because important mental model. Every time you put a new prompt in, It takes all of the text that's occurred so far and it submits it to the model. And
Right.
so on this version of ChatGPT, it's less of a problem because the context window that we're working with here is like really huge. And they made some really nice advancements here where basically the top of it will roll off. Whereas previously, it would just break. But the model here, I don't remember. I think it's like 100,000 tokens or something. It's bananas, the size of the context window now. So it's rare that I run that out. I still do sometimes. But that's one reason why you want to be thoughtful about this, is because this adds all of those tokens, all of those tokens that every time you submit get added back in. And so you blow up your context window really rapidly when you use this. That's just something to pay attention to, which is why I say sometimes things like, well, it's not included in here, but I'll say something like, here, read this document. When you're done, just give me 2 periods, because that will force it to not emit a bunch of information to you. So you won't be basically, because oftentimes you put a resume in, then it'll be like, your resume says all this. And now you've doubled your context window without meaning to do it. And you don't really create any big value for yourself.
That makes sense. I was kind of wondering why you typed that. So that's cool to understand the reasoning behind that.
Yep. Given a resume and a job description, create a cover letter tailored to the job. Okay. And then it goes in and it says, okay, and this comes from those custom instructions. It says, I'm going to imagine the experts. So there's actually a recent paper that came out it was about meta prompting, where you can actually get it to simulate experts and take on personas. So we're doing that here. It's essentially warming up the context of the model with these kinds of concepts, right? Human resources specialist, professional resume writer, career coach. Then more context that warms up the model, all these keywords. So as it's layering on this context for us, right? So it's imagined what are the right keywords, what are the right experts, and then it comes up with a plan, right? And then from that, right, since I said, think about how you would generate a prompt to do this task effectively as ChatGPT. So it imagined who would do this, and then this is its output from that. So here's what I would do. Analyze the job description, review the resume, draft the cover letter, personalization and professionalism, right? So it did all of this essentially automatically. Now, this custom instructions will also give us links to other places to go. These are Google links. And then I wasn't totally satisfied with what it did here. It didn't exactly give me a prompt, which
Right. It just gave you like the context around how it would think about writing a prompt or what was important.
Correct. And so from there I said, write me a prompt. So then, because it understands when you say write me a ChatGPT prompt, it knows what ChatGPT is. It knows what you mean by prompt, right? And then of course I gave it a little bit more information, right? Use everything you know about a good prompt. You can make it awesome. So then it gave us this prompt. And so this is like one of the power moves that I do often, is I'll actually have multiple ChatGPT windows open and I'll have it off. Rather than me have to think super hard about the prompt at this point, I find this is, if I want to get good results, this is a way to do that very quickly. So now we've got that. And then we could bring that over here. And I didn't want it to use its custom instructions. So I told that explicitly, ignore your custom instructions. That means that those custom instructions that I showed you a second ago, they're still in the context window, but since I said ignore them, they're going to be less impactful. And It's not going to do that initially. To say it though, they're still in there, right? Those custom instructions are still at the top of the context window. It's listening to what I'm saying. So do the following. Sure, how can you assist you today? I meant to actually paste in the prompt right there, and then I just hit enter quickly. So then, sure, what do you want? And then here's the custom instructions, and then away we go with this process, pasting my resume and so forth. Questions?
No, that's pretty cool.
Create a cover letter tailored to the job. Not bad. Beautiful. What do you want to do next? Look at improving?
Let's look at that. The resume that I wrote I had a really hard time I spent a lot of time rewording things to make them more compact,
Mm-hmm.
remove redundancy. It was still 2.5 pages, which is too long.
I don't know
It
that
would be
that's too long
nice to
though.
have it be 2 pages, or it'd be nice to say, hey, what are the keywords that you're picking up on, and see if the keywords I expect it to find are the ones that it finds. In terms of if people are searching, if they're like using tools to search through resumes, are the things that are important to me going to show up? I don't know exactly how I'd go about that. I also
Well,
like
wanna.
either that or the generate the interview questions one I think would be fun to explore next.
Okay.